Tom had laid out the idea for the nook in the library the next morning, interrupting the old lady's paperwork that she had picked up until Dakota got better. She hadn't looked particularly pleased as he had walked her through it, taking a deep breath as he finished. "You want to hold a festival? In the middle of all this? A proper one with a feast, games, drink and everything?" "Yup." "Have you eaten something different lately? Perhaps something you didn't know what it was? It might just have been a little snack," the old lady asked, looking at him with a very kind, if rather strained expression. "No, but I did play tag with some kids in the Dragon a few days ago, and it was great. It's not like we will stop working on the defences. Hell, with everyone in one place, we would likely be even safer. We just need to figure out how to defend the places other than where we are holding this." "My gods, you've even started putting actual thought into this," the nook responded, putting her head in her hands. "Yes, we need to have some fun things around here to keep things light. I also think we should look into making some more everyday things. You know, try and make life a little easier. Right now, we are just making weapons." "You sound like you think we have won this war already." "No, I sound like I've realised this war will go on for a long time, possibly forever," Tom interrupted. Sure, he knew this was perhaps not the most sensible thing to do, but sometimes the most sensible choice isn't the best one. Every time we get more and or better defences, we simply just worry that the enemy will bring something bigger and nastier too. We used to have a handful of warriors here, now we have several dragons, professional soldiers, and soon the most potent weapons in the world. Don't get ahead of yourself there, I'm sure your latest project will be very impressive, and small too. But I doubt it takes that title. Like, what would then? A big catapult or some magical ballista? "No, Tom," the old lady replied, shaking her head with a sigh. "All I'm saying is don't be so hasty. I know the capital and the palace alone have some impressive defences. If you want more than that, I would take it up with Victoria, or perhaps Baron. He might have seen them in action, actually. I've only heard stories. Not that I know if they are even true, of course. Might just have been gossip and tall tales." "You can't just say something like that and not tell me more. Like, come on," Tom protested, holding his arms wide. "I know the palace is supposed to have 4 beacons of light that will burn away the darkness. Make of that what you will," the nook replied, sounding like she wanted to get back to the previous topic. "And I assume these things are either ancient or holy, since, well, they aren't everywhere." "I suspect both, actually. And no, I have never even seen one. So they are, at the very least, rare. There are countless tales of incredible things, items of great power, I must admit. Following our latest discovery down below, I am starting to reconsider some of them being just tales, though. Whether all of them were regular enchanted items like my sword and armour, or perhaps something older." "Okay, so there's nasty stuff out there. That doesn't change much, though. This fight is still going to continue, and these are just even more excuses for worrying that we will still be outgunned. Do you want to live in a place that feels like a frontline fortress for the rest of your days?" "We are a frontier keep, it is literally in the name," the nook interrupted with a disapproving look, though she was looking a little melancholy. "Yes, but... oh, come on, you know what I mean." "I do, but sad faces are better than happy memories in my book. I might be old, but I'm not quite ready to become a memory yet." "Not a fan of living life in the fast lane?" Tom questioned, only a little leadingly. "Making fun of the elderly is most uncouth, but I assume that means living recklessly. If so, then no. I've tried that, and I got lucky," the lady replied, with an edge to her tone. "I just don't see why we can't have both, so to speak. Sure, it will slow down the work a little bit, but it will be so much nicer for everyone. And as I say, the festival might be the safest day so far with everyone together." "For us, not for those left behind. Would you want to bring all of the Reaver? They need help, not distractions right now," the nook replied with a dismissive arm wave, before leaning back in her chair. "We could hold something just for us, perhaps let whoever Victoria deems able to attend." "On that front, actually, we have seen just how well Jarrus can hunt with a net. Want to make one for Tiguan? I am certain he would be more than willing to use it." "I suspect you are right," the nook replied, rubbing her jaw as she pondered the idea. "Would you be willing to part with some of our new weapons for them too? In that case, they might be willing to send some people here." "That would just lead to a poorly defended keep with very powerful weapons right for the taking, wouldn't it?" Tom replied with a pained reluctance. "No, you're right there," the nook had to concede, after seconds of looking rather annoyed. "But you must be able to see that they can't leave their keep. It would be dangerous in the extreme. We don't know if we are being watched right now. If they all leave, then they might return to a keep captured by an enemy, or even just a smouldering ruin." "The Reaver is in the middle of an open rocky canyon. Where would a scout hide? You people can fly, and it would be impossible to hide in the air there, at least when it isn't dark." "I don't know. In a crevasse somewhere?" the nook countered with a hand wave. "The enemy is a tricky one, you know that." "I say we just get everyone here, then send them back in force if someone has taken it in the meantime. If so, then we bag ourselves some more enemies. They will need a dragon or two anyway if they are to be bringing any serious amount of supplies back with them. You are in a mighty generous mood today. And where do you imagine these supplies will come from? Look, we need friends. Thus far the enemy is getting scarier and scarier. We have Jack's and Victoria's combat wing. Those might not be permanent. We could really use friends of the more local variety. The Reaver are friends. We've had dealings with them for decades, the Nook replied, with a confused expression, tilting her head a touch. Yeah, but they aren't exactly fit for battle now, are they? I guess we don't just need friends, we need allies. They need supplies, we need allies, and everyone needs cheering up. It's a triple win. So, you do want to arm them, you sly little bastard, the Nook replied with a hint of a smile. We need them back on their feet so they can make it for a siege. With just a little extra firepower, they might be able to drive them off, or at least scare them a bit, and they do have Tigran. If you're willing to give up the weapons for it, then I say it's actually a pretty good idea. I just thought you wanted to keep them all here. I don't want guns to permeate out through the world. That might lead to some weird situations. It will happen eventually, but you should be ready for it. At least as ready as you can be. The more I think about it, you might not be able to prepare for something like that. The world you know will come to an end, leading to something new. I think that happened around spring, but I take your meaning. The worst possible thing, though, would be if the enemy gets their hands on all this. So we need allies, as many as we can get. I think it'll be easy enough to convince the Reaver to keep the secret, and they won't be taught how to make them. We could call for help from them, or have a repeat of the last battle for their home. I might sound harsh, but the more of a fight they put up, the better for us in the long run. As long as the enemy doesn't just raid them for weapons. Even if they can't make more, it would still be bad. That is true. Any bright ideas? Beyond instructing them to destroy their weapons in case of defeat? The Nook questioned, her scheming nature coming out in full as she leaned forward in her chair. Well, Lancaster and the Puma are busy, but otherwise I was considering using her little corruption detector from the mines to lock the guns, so to speak. Then only brigands and the like would be a problem. That's mighty clever. Victoria might have something to say about her not getting any, though. Probably. The way I see it, we don't have a choice with them either. They want them, and in time they will either get them or take them. We can only buy time. We just want ourselves armed first, because that is sure to raise the danger level once again when someone who we don't like finds out where the guns came from. I think you are personally right on that front. Hey, no sad faces. That was the name of the game. Let's look at the timeline. We have Grevy coming back in a week or two with new orders for Victoria, and likely some people to go look at the cave vaults. A bit after that, Archon is due back again with stuff for Highstyle. Ralph seems to agree with me that we have 3 or 4 weeks left from the sugar beets, which is sooner than expected, to be honest. Then again, the weather is fairly nice around here. If you want to wait for the beets, then we miss the solstice. Perhaps the better getting a fall instead. Probably smarter, yeah. Then order some stuff from Arch. Perhaps he can tell a friend or two that there is money to be made. Then we can get the stuff that Deriva needs and the supplies we want for winter. From what I understand, you aren't the most active in wintertime. No, luckily neither is the enemy. Winter isn't too long here, though. Jax would at most have to sleep 60 to 70 days. At most. Right, yeah. Wait, you guys aren't going to sleep, right? We usually don't. We don't really need to unless a particularly bad storm hits. We have a good keep and a rather mild climate. We still collect the bark and herbs needed anyway, just in case. It does happen every couple of years. The worst one I can remember lasted more than 20 days. That was truly horrible. Geez, lonely me, I guess, then. Try and reply with a chuckle. That did sound rather sad, though. Perhaps he could arrange a little surprise for when they woke up if that ever happened. That could be quite fun. You will still have a chook. He has watched over us many times before. Just be wary. He is probably liable to put you up in the watchtower, the Nook joked with a slight chuckle. Yeah, I'm sure he would. You never know when the frost salamanders attack. The what? Anyway, back to business. Do you think it can be done? The Nook looked at him skeptically for a bit before relenting, but it was clear Tom was not given an explanation for that one. Sure it can. In the end, we can just send an invitation to Deriva and have them decide. They know their situation better than we do. If they accept and their keep is lost, it is technically not our fault. I meant without things going horribly wrong. Oh, that? No idea. We can try and help, but in the end, this is what we have to deal with if we want to hold a party in dangerous times. I agree that we could use some good old-fashioned fun, but that comes at a price. As you said, it likely always will from now on. You know, in some places, finding old priceless relics that would see university scholars happy for the rest of their days would be considered the event of the year. Hey, their stuff is awesome, but it still means even more work. I know, the Nook replied, looking down at all the paperwork before her. I never knew how much work finding an ancient treasure would be. How do you even calculate taxes for ancient priceless treasure? I have no idea, and I don't think a book on economics would help. No, I guess not. I think we agree then. An end of summer festival is to be held here. It's a little unconventional, but these are tricky times. Amazing, Tom countered with a sly smile. We let Victoria decide how many people she is comfortable with attending. Well, if that's the plan, then we have work to do. Yeah, that one is always true around here, Tom replied as he got up. It wouldn't do to invite a Reaver and not actually have any of the stuff they needed when they got here. Well, it would seem Tom had actually decided to go through with his latest idea. To be honest, Sapphire hadn't expected him to get the Nook convinced about that one. Rachuk looked like he had a fair few protests when the Nook let them all know what the plan was at dinner that day. Dakota had just shook her head, before pointing out that this likely meant inviting the people that Grevy was bringing to work down in the vault, or at least they should make a point to avoid inviting them. A brief debate had them deciding on the second option, mainly based on the fact that they didn't know just who was being brought, but they were likely all of the very nosy variety, all things considered, and a party would be the perfect opportunity for them to find something they shouldn't. They had set the date at the end of summer, when it would still be warm, and before the weather started to get too annoying. By then they should apparently have their small fortune in sugar, and it sounded like Tom wanted to spend what they could in short order. Fenki had poked Saf in the side, who very politely asked what the plan was for getting paid this year. They were paid based on what the keep made in profit, that was the rule, but this had been very far from a normal year. There was a good chance they were going to make more this year than in all the time Saf had been at the keep, but they had also spent an incredible sum, so she wasn't actually sure what the profit was going to be. I'll ask Dakota sometime. I don't even think Tom really knows, if I'm being honest, Saf replied, looking at where the human was sitting at the kids' table, where he was seemingly busy telling a story that involved large arm movements. Probably depends on how much sugar we get from the beads, Essie added, having overheard them. What do you usually make? Foe asked, looking a little uncomfortable, eyes darting around at them. I think the best I can remember was 25 silver per share. That was a pretty good year. It's usually around 15. You can't expect to make much when everything you need is paid for. What's a share? Ray questioned, sounding a tad apologetic. Saf almost wanted to give her a thwack and tell her to straighten her back. It was better than keeping quiet, though. Half of the profit goes to the shares, a quarter to the crown, and a quarter to the keep and the family. At least that's how we do it. 1 share for a greenhorn, 2 if you're coppered, 4 for silvered, and 8 for a gilded. That's not bad. I used to get paid 3 coppers a day for cleaning sewers. It was only every once in a while that they needed me, though. You're kidding, right? Jacqueline broke out, mouth still full of food. It was a good job. Well, the pay was good, and they didn't care about wings. I guess so, but still. Someone has to do it. I remember hunting rats for bounties way back when, Fengi added. You two had it easy. You just had to catch the one, she continued, pointing at Bo and Foe with the fork. Ours was a mouse, which is smaller and faster. There's not much grass to hide in the cities. No, but you don't want to go where they do hide, Fengi countered. Still, there's got to be more than a few gold this year, even with more people around. Oh yeah, no doubt about that, Essie added with a smile. You'd have got rather lucky for first-timers. Even 1 share should be quite something. Well, I've always been good with money, Foe replied, with a very smug face. You once lost a silver ring in a bet on who was fastest to a watchtower and back, Bo interrupted. Foe looking like she was mouthing, "Don't you dare," to her friend. By first going the wrong way and then getting lost on the way back too. Oh, come on. I thought we were going to a specific watchtower, obviously. Not just the nearest one. Yet you said nearest, and how'd you get lost flying in a straight line? I was going low so they couldn't tell my route. We should be going slower than a straight line. Fuck you, I was young. I hope you learned something. We can't have the deer outsmarting you, Saf added with a chuckle, which did little to improve Foe's mood. Speaking of which, we are going to have time to make this a proper celebration, not just some rush job with what we have at the time. We need good game, good drink, herbs, spices, and whatever else we can find. So we get Jarrus to catch a few deer and, what, pluck some leaves? Foe questioned with an unimpressed shrug. Saf just looked at Essie with a slight smirk. Fengi just shook her head, while Jackie looked like she had something to say. It's a bit more than that. I think we better start on the school bench tomorrow. Remember, you aren't just hunters, Essie went before Jackie got her piece in. Foraging 101. Step 1. Don't eat the stuff that kills you, Jackie added. 101? Belinda had a question. It's a course that teaches the basics, like going to school in the city. Like a degree. Phosphonal, releasing prodigy with a 101 in berry picking, Foe replied with a slight shake of the head. And an almost decent shot, Fengi countered with a chuckle. Oh, come on, who's at my side today? Foe went, putting down the cutlery with a huff. Don't worry, I'll teach you, Saf added with a sly smile. Ha, very funny, Miss Biggest Cheat in the history of archery. Just you wait. When I get around to being all magical, I'll probably just have to look at the deer to kill it. Technically, I don't have to look at it. That does make it a little more tricky, though, Seth replied, concentrating hard in the salt shaker, trying to lift it off the table. A god of my salary says you can't kill a deer with a blindfold on. See, unlike you, I know when not to take a bet, Seth replied with a knowing look as she saw the shaker in the corner of her eye, grabbing it with her left hand. Fuck yeah, I'm good. Show off. I'll take it. I just need a big enough grenade, Jackie interrupted, with a raised fork and mouth half full of venison. There won't be anything left at that point, and I don't even think Tom knows of any recipes for pink mist, Essie added with a chuckle. Oh, you worry too much. It just needs to be far away enough from the blast, Jackie countered with a hand wave. Well, do you have such a grenade? No. I really need to find a proper trophy, true, Jackie replied, slipping into a pondering pose and playing around with the fork a little. I honestly think you would be happy with just about anything, Essie added cheerfully, Seth nodding her agreement. To be honest, if Jackie had a go at knitting, she believed he would still praise the inevitable mess that would result. Well, it may be something. It's supposed to be equal to the revolver, at least sort of. So what you're saying is you need to be a dragon slayer. Don't get any good ideas down there, Joe let out from above, the dragon having swung his head inside, likely having gotten bored. Don't worry, I only kill bad dragons. You can sleep safe in the knowledge that Jackal 8 Furlong isn't out for your hide, Jackie replied with a confident expression as she stretched. Phew, you had me worried there, Jarvis countered in a rather unworried tone. Hey, I'm dangerous. Sure you are, Miss Second Place, Jarvis replied, turning his head away indignantly, clearly just trying to annoy her, even if he wasn't hiding the smile very well. Oi, look at me when I'm threatening you. I will find a way to beat you, mark my words, Jackie protested, waving a fork at Jarvis like a puma on a noisy day in the library. You are better at getting flung at a wall. At least my ass fit in a tunnel, Jackie grumbled as she went back to her food, refusing to look up at the very pleased-looking dragon. As you can clearly see, it's my strapping shoulders and wide chest that is the problem, Jarvis countered, with no small amount of sarcasm in his voice. No, you're just a fat ass,